You found Ask Alice, the podcast that takes a deep dive into the societal currents shaping our lives. I'm your host, Alice, and together we'll explore the often unseen forces at play. We'll examine cutting-edge research, dissect the data, and most importantly, if you're seeking to understand what's shaping our society, this is the place.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a question that sounds simple, but really isn't. Can you legally sunbathe nude in your own backyard in South Carolina?
Yeah, it's surprisingly tricky. There's no single law saying yes or no.
Right. So we've been digging into the sources, and it seems we need to look at broader public decency laws, specifically South Carolina Code, Section 1615-130, the Indecent Exposure Law.
Exactly. And our goal here is to figure out what the sources say about that balance, between your privacy on your property and the state's interest in, public order.
So let's start with the actual text of the law. That's SC Code Section 1615-130A1. What does it actually say?
Okay. It prohibits someone from, quote, willfully, maliciously, and indecently exposing his person in a public place, on property of others, or to the view of any person on a street or highway.
Willfully, maliciously, and indecently. And notice that key word connecting the locations. Or.
That or is crucial. But let's break down that first part. Willfully, maliciously, and indecently. This really gets at the intent behind it.
Okay. So willfully is just intentionally.
Right. You meant to do it. Maliciously, though, that implies some kind of ill will, maybe intending to annoy or offend people.
And indecently. That relates to common standards, I guess. What society finds offensive.
Precisely. So if you're just, sunbathing privately for your own comfort and you have zero intention of being seen or bothering anyone,
then hitting those maliciously and indecently marks becomes harder for the prosecution, right?
Much harder. In fact, the South Carolina Attorney General actually weighed in on this. Their opinion basically says the law targets willful and malicious public exposure, not just nudity itself.
So it's different from someone like intentionally flashing someone.
Oh, absolutely. That kind of behavior or exposure for sexual reasons, that's clearly what the law is aimed at stopping. Private sunbathing is a different category if the intent is purely personal.
Got it. So intent is huge. What about the location part? Is your own backyard considered a public place?
Generally, no. The sources are pretty clear on that. Your private backyard usually doesn't count as a public place under this statute.
Okay, that seems straightforward enough. But you mentioned that or earlier.
Ah, yes. The catch.
Because the law also says on property of others or to the view of any person on a street or highway.
Exactly. So even in your own yard, if you can be seen from your neighbor's property, their yard, their second-story window, whatever, or by someone on the street,
then the law could still apply, even though you're on your own property.
It absolutely could. This makes effective visual privacy, essential. Non-negotiable, really.
So even if you meant for it to be private, if your fence isn't tall enough or has gaps and someone accidentally sees you,
you could still potentially face issues. It hinges on whether you took sufficient steps to ensure privacy.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk risks. If someone does see you, maybe a neighbor complains, what happens then?
Well, it's classified as a misdemeanor, which sounds maybe not that serious, but the potential penalties include fines or even prison time, up to 3 years.
3 years? Even for a first offense?
That's what the statute allows, yes. But here's something else the sources mention that's frankly quite serious.
What's that?
In certain extreme circumstances, there's the possibility of having to register as a sex offender.
Whoa. Okay. What qualifies as extreme?
Things like exposure, specifically in front of a child, or if the act is done in a way the court considers particularly depraved.
So the risk goes way, way up if kids might see.
Dramatically. Any chance of minors viewing the nudity changes the entire risk calculation. It becomes much more serious.
Is there anything less serious, like disorderly conduct, maybe?
It's possible, but probably less likely for just quiet sunbathing unless you're also being loud or disruptive. But it depends on the specifics and local rules, too.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the practical advice for someone listening who's thinking about this in South Carolina?
It really comes down to what we've been discussing. Priority number 1, total visual privacy.
Meaning tall fences, thick hedges, covering all the angles.
Every single angle. From neighbors' windows, especially upper floors, from the street, any possible viewpoint. And critically, ensuring zero possibility of minors seeing you.
Keep a low profile, too, I imagine.
Definitely. Avoid anything that could possibly be interpreted as lewd or provocative. Just be discreet.
And if, despite your best efforts, someone confronts you or the police show up,
stay calm. But the strong advice is, don't make statements to the police without talking to a lawyer first.
So basically, if you can't guarantee 100% privacy, especially from kids, or if anyone complains,
get legal advice. Seriously, it's the safest way to understand your specific situation and risks.
So wrapping this up, what's the bottom line here?
The bottom line is, nude sunbathing in your SC backyard isn't illegal per se, but its legality is completely dependent on you ensuring total visual privacy and having purely personal, non-offensive intent.
It's all about that balance the law tries to strike between personal freedom and public decency, and it seems like the weight of maintaining that balance falls heavily on the individual's ability to block any outside view.
Absolutely. Which leads to kind of a bigger question, doesn't it?
What's that?
Well, in today's world, with drones, Google Maps, houses packed closer together, how truly private can any outdoor space really be anymore? Something for you to think about.